Anybody there? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Lynn.
Hi, Austin. How are you? Where are you tonight?
I am home. Let me see if my video works.
Yeah, let me see his face. Yeah, good. I need to see that face. And Ellen Steves, are you there? No. So Austin, I know you dive into these things, and I sent this out quite late, but did you see the table I sent out with the bond council projections?
I saw the email. I haven't looked at the details yet.
Okay, all right. Well, what it does is it takes that table that I showed to FinCom and now adds on the library bond or the aggregate bond. Let's call it the aggregate bond.
Okay.
So there's now 3 bonds being shown there.
Sure. I'll take a look at it now.
Yeah. Hopefully Ellen Goldberg will get on so she can do the screen sharing because I am really inept at that. Kind of a grim day, isn't it? Weather-wise.
Yeah, yeah.
We got lucky yesterday.
We did. Yeah, yesterday was beautiful.
All right, there's Mickey. Hi, Mickey.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well as well, thank you. Hope everybody had a good Easter.
Yeah, I hope you did.
Thank you.
I had a slight catastrophe, a slight one. On Friday, I was walking the dogs at Long Beach and got a little fumbly with keys and pockets and so on and managed to leave my cell phone on the roof of the car.
Oh, no.
About 3 hours later, when I noticed that it wasn't in home after all, and I went back to see in the parking lot, I have a nice conversation with the police station. About 3 hours later, I'm looking outside and remembering the time that Jeffrey left one on the roof of his car. So I go back to the causeway with Jeff, and about halfway across the causeway, looked in the curb. There's my cell phone.
Oh, no.
Lucky.
No, it had been run over multiple times.
Was it a new
terrible.
one?
I was lucky to find that, to find it, I think.
Wow.
Apple's coming out with the new one next month or next week or something.
Oh, I've taken care of.
There you go.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
Hi, Nancy.
Hello.
Hi, how's everybody?
Good.
Good.
Wasn't it wonderful to see the Nahant Village Church getting some front page coverage in the Globe, and then
Wow, that was pretty cool.
a lovely picture of Roz, and then
Yes.
a nice one of Reverend Terry Motley.
Yep, it was awesome. We got great publicity along with the Cardinal of Boston in the same article.
All right.
Just think.
And the item guy overslept. So that person missed all the action.
So what did the bagpiper play?
Oh, just
Amazing
bagpipe
Grace.
music. I mean, a lot of noodling around. There were a couple of recognizable tunes, but he just mostly marched up and down and played, and it was pretty dramatic. I felt bad because his knees were hanging out, It was so cold.
So where was it exactly?
So we held it on Bob Rish's lawn.
That's what I thought when I saw those massive granite blocks. I
Yeah.
thought, oh, that's not quite East Point, but yeah.
Right. No, that was the place where we could get everyone to spread out across from where it's usually held. And those granite blocks held up the cross, that wooden cross. So
yeah,
it worked out really well.
Well, that's nice. Hi, Ellen. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Are you going to
Hi
be
there.
prepared to screen share today?
Sure. But I think we're going to run into the same situation unless they made me the host. I don't know if usually they seem to disable screen sharing. So yeah, I just tried to click on screen sharing and it's host disabled it. So
I think they do it
week,
because of Zoom bombers.
Sure. But last week, Tony made me, you called him and he made me host.
Shall I try that again?
If you want me to, if you want to share screens, yes.
Yes, I sent it at about 6:15, quite a few attachments, and one of which is this portrays the 3 bonds over a period of time. So I think it's worth looking at together. I'll see if I can get him.
And so I'll just go into my email and find those files, assuming you'll be able to reach him.
Yeah, I will. Okay.
1225, that was the other one from Paul.
Well, let's just hope my new phone has what I want on it. Maybe not. No, it does not.
Oh no. Let me see. Is that Tony?
No.
Let me see if I have his.
If you
number.
can give me his number. Unfortunately, I had not been really good about the cloud, so I've lost a lot of data.
Anthony Barletta. I don't actually have his phone number. I only have his email address in my contact.
Mickey, do you by any chance?
Oh.
All right, let me just.
Do I have Tony's phone number? I think you might have given it to me a while back.
I think Jeffrey does have it, so hold on.
I got this number, 781-299-9682.
Yeah, that's the same one that I have, Mickey.
Okay.
Who's that?
For Tony Barletta.
Thank you.
Just in case he wants his number over Zoom.
Right.
I wonder if there's a way of having this so it doesn't require Tony to let us in every time.
Yeah, there's a setting that allows you to enable participant screen sharing without the host.
Okay.
But they have it disabled.
I have a new. No, we need you to allow screen sharing. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Basically adding authorization to take into your CPC borrowing article.
Say that again. To take into my CPC borrowing article?
Yeah,
oh, no.
It doesn't change into the same article, so it's whether discussed at the same time.
Okay. Okay. That will also. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. We won't talk about it then. All right. Bye-bye. So Alan, he'll enable screen showing momentarily.
Okay, is he going to log in and make me host? It might not. Is that him right there?
Zoom, CPC, Conservation Commission. I'm telling that.
No, I don't know who that is.
Hi, Paul.
Ellen?
Hello?
Ellen Goldberg? Ellen Goldberg, can you hear me?
Yes.
So when you display things on your screen, perhaps you could make them a little bit bigger?
I will do my best.
Excellent.
Tony?
Hello.
Can you enable Alan to be the host, please?
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
I'll just mute, but I'm on in case you guys have any questions for me.
Okay, thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I guess so. Yep.
Okay, so what document would you like to see first, Lynn?
I'd like to go to the the second one, the CPC articles. Great. Let's go there next.
Oh.
Okay, great. Well, good evening, everyone. I guess we should let's now officially start the meeting. I'm Lynn Spencer, and I chair the Community Preservation Committee. Could the committee members just go sing out as to who's here and what their affiliations are?
Paul Spurn. Paul Spurn at large.
Mickey?
Geelong Housing.
Austin Antrim at large.
Nancy Cantelmo, Open Space and Recreation.
Ellen Steves, Conservation Commission.
Ellen Goldberg at large.
Lynn Spencer, Nahant Historical Commission. Let me just take a moment to read the governor's order. So pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Article 18, and the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Community Preservation Committee is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of the members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen or view this meeting while in progress may do so by accessing the town's Zoom instructions on the town website. So with that, let us proceed. Paul, do we have minutes from the last meeting?
No, we don't.
Well, then we will await them with expectation.
Yep.
Okay. So tonight, well, let me just report that on April 1st, Austin Antrim, Nancy Catalmo, Paul Spurn, and Ellen Goldberg and I attended the FinCom meeting. And at that meeting, we were the sole points on that agenda. So we went through the fiscal year 22 articles as well as the fiscal year 21 articles, which they had seen before. And fortunately, with Ellen's help as well as Austin's help, we were able to draft the fiscal year 22 articles, which are what are in front of you on the screen. And Ellen, I see once again, I forgot to change April 1st to 2022.
So this should be 2022?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I have track changes on. I'm gonna.
No, that shouldn't be 2022.
Yeah, that's what I was confused. Because this.
Oh, yes, what am I thinking about? I'm in the wrong year. I actually would like to regress. Let's go back to 2018. I mean, honestly, thank you. Anyway, let's just sort of run through these. This was sent to the committee, but I'd like to have the group as a whole have the opportunity to see them together. So the first article is the $10,000 for general administration purposes. I will also note that this could be the place where the project signs would be charged. I think there's a fair amount of enthusiasm for actually formalizing CPA involvement, both on a temporary basis when a project is actually underway, as well as perhaps on a permanent basis with a permanent sign. So any questions about that one? The next is the Little League article, which Austin kindly drafted.
Is that big enough?
Is that
Right.
everyone, can everyone see that?
Yeah.
I think the only thing that got added to that was a note about the match that is being provided by the Little League, which is very nice.
How much is that match in there? Where is it? 15. I see it. Yep.
The next article is the American Legion sign, which will also include an acknowledgement of CPA funding. And that's being recommended at $4,000. The committee members will remember that the actual application was $3,810, but I rounded it up to include this additional acknowledgement of CPA funding. Next up is the additional money for the tennis court and basketball courts at Flash Road. There was a little bit of confusion as to the location of these courts at the FinCom, but I think we got around that. Didn't we, Austin? Didn't everyone understand where this was now?
Yep.
Yes, I think they were just confused by the last year's article for resurfacing the other court near the compost area.
Right, right. So again, appreciation to Austin for drafting the supporting statement on this. Next up is the aggregate bond for $500,000 that is being divided amongst the public library, the town hall, and then the Green Lawn Cemetery archway and walls. So we had some discuss that the FinCom was very interested to know if this was going to mean that, quote, everything was being done for these buildings. And the answer is no, not everything is being done, but a significant inroad would be made on what has been deferred, basically deferred care of these buildings. So the library in particular, with the existing library bond of $400,000, which also reflected a matching grant as well as some small amounts of other sort of CPA grants that hadn't been spent. That project basically covered the terrace portion of the public library, which was a very significant structural intervention and repair. The $300,000, that is roughly $300,000 of this bond would be devoted to the balance of the exterior envelope repairs that are needed by the public library. And then $100,000 is being allocated towards the town hall and $100,000 to the Green Lawn Cemetery entry arch. So I know I had sent all this to you when I sent it to the FinCom last week. I don't know if we have any comments from the readers as to the text or the supporting statement that has been provided here, but now's your time.
Lynn, what's the, refresh my memory, what's the status of the ADA improvements at Town Hall? Are they in or out?
No, that stays in as its own appropriation from fiscal year 21. That's not in this article.
Okay.
Just to anticipate a question, how much has the library received in CPC funding? Do we have a number for restoration?
Yeah, for restoration, you know, I would have to say that it's going to be rising on $800,000 between that significant project that I just talked about for the terrace plus this aggregate number.
Okay, so in the past decade or since the CPC has been going, it's an $800,000 number.
Yeah.
I thought it was significantly higher.
No.
Now, so that's 800 plus this 3 or 4, right? Plus what you're doing now?
That includes this.
Okay,
so
great.
It's best if the simple question is, the answer is there's been around $500,000 in the past. This would add another $300,000.
Right. It could be, yeah. It seems to me that the library is often on there, so folks are maybe thinking it's much more than 800,000, and it's nice to know that with this appropriation, it would be a total of 800,000 for this, you know, for significant improvements to structural deficiencies.
Yeah. So, Mickey, you are right. There have been various smaller appropriations over the years, but they got tied into that terrace project. So if you look at the article again, you'll see that it was a $400,000 bond plus the smaller there were probably 3 smaller grants that hadn't been fully expended that got woven into that right. terrace project. Plus a $70,000 emergency fund grant from the Massachusetts Preservation Projects Fund. So it was a very significant project and much higher than had been initially estimated.
Lynn, do you think that you just said a few minutes ago how much was going to each of these 3 places? Don't you think that might be included in this text because people will want to know that?
It is. If you read down, could you scroll down, please, Ellen? It's in the supporting statement.
Okay, I just didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah. There's probably, and in a way, folks, please look at this carefully because there's a lot in this statement.
Well, the second thing I have a question on, the Green Lawn Cemetery entry arch and wall, is that the entire wall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I really, when I wrote this, I actually went back into the 2008 reports and I sort of cross-checked that against the work that had been done. So I tried to make this as accurate as I could.
Lynn, one of the things that I probably should have responded to at the FinCom meeting was what shall I say, what seems like a bias against debt service, as if it were some sort of a moral failing that we are spending money on debt service. Mm-hmm. And in fact, what we are doing is taking advantage of an opportunity using extraordinarily low interest rates as a way of, and you alluded to this, and it deserved, I think, to be hammered home to them, that deferred maintenance becomes more and more and more expensive in a geometric way.
Right.
And here we are at a very low interest rate, having the opportunity to take advantage of things. And as we do that, instead of spending down our reserves, we still have that money in reserve if need be, as we carry it over from year to year, if an emergency or an extraordinary opportunity arises. And the only reason I'm going into this is I haven't read these articles, I'm sorry to say, but is it stated clearly in this particular one that going over the option of either buying services outright at full cost now, we are buying more services at probably an ultimately lower cost. Mm-hmm. And if I don't know if that's in there, but if it isn't, it probably should be an early drumbeat in this paragraph.
I would invite you to. Since you sort of did it so eloquently, I would invite that paragraph.
I'll do it.
But I'm not so sure you might want to do that because construction's at a peak. Prices are spiked.
No, not. I have to politely disagree. They're spiked in the residential marketplace. They are not yet spiked in this marketplace. I've been having especially with masonry and masonry restoration. I just had bids come in on I had a budget of $400,000. I have a $300,000 bid that I'm accepting.
Well, you might want to put that sentence in there to deflect that. I mean, I'm in commercial construction, getting supplies is a challenge, but this is all of these projects are in the architectural restoration business. Right. And it's refreshing to hear in that market, prices have not been spiked or otherwise affected by the COVID crisis.
Now,
maybe some of those people.
Knock on wood on that one, Mickey, because that may change, but we have to be cautious about this. But I do try to talk about deferred maintenance and so on. But I can strengthen that. I'm just looking at the paragraph that starts deferred maintenance and the simple fact of major masonry structures having passed their first century of use are the root causes of building preservation needs. I can sort of go in there and fiddle with that to strengthen this. I'm trying to make the point that dealing with this now, and it has been a matter of deferred maintenance, it's not even just, a geometric progression, Paul. It can get exponential. And that's what we actually, that's what we saw on the terrace.
Like the terrace.
The terrace was a great big example of that. So we can strengthen this. I mean, money is fairly cheap right now. Although I will say that the bond costs that I got today from Allison were based on 4%, which is a little bit higher. Last year, I think we were looking at 3.2%. So she's being cautious, which is fine, which is important. But I think the comment that Paul is sharing is an important one, because the FinCom was observing, and it is correct, with the potential of 3 bonds, the existing $400,000 bond, this $500,000 bond, and then the $1.5 million bond, is we will be tying up CPA money. Now the table that we will be looking at, I mean, we could look at it now since the subject is in front of us, but I've got a table that shows the impact of this over a period of time. Is everyone game to take a look at that with me and put this one aside for a moment?
Whatever you want, Lynn.
So if you can go to the attachment, Ellen, that
you got the bond, you got the CPC, you got the
I
PDF.
think it's a copy of the bond one is the first one. If you could put that up on the screen, that would be helpful. Oh, and let's keep it at this really small size. So get your magnifying glass.
Paul. I did that just for Paul.
I know, me too. I need it. I have a printed copy. I'm ahead. So
hang on. Let me. Are we going to make any changes to it? Do I need to save a version of it?
No, we can't change this. This comes from Town Hall, so I'm not changing this.
Okay.
So this is a really interesting table, and we did have this available for the FinCom meeting the other night. What this table does, folks, is take the CPA surtax and a 50% state share, except for fiscal year 21. From fiscal year 22 out, it uses a 50% state share. In the past, we've been closer to 65%, and last year we were up to 69%. There's a little bit of interest, but it shows the estimated CPC revenue by year. And then as you read down, you see the impacts, for instance, of the $1.5 million 30-year bond starting in fiscal year 23. This is modeling this, but this presumes that town meeting accepts our recommendation, and then the selectmen have it in their hands to initiate the acquisition of the eminent domain taking and the bond. So we start seeing in fiscal year 23, next year, the impact of that bond on our budget.
But if somebody would ask, each of these 3 bonds assume the state will be paying half the bond.
That's the right way of putting it.
Right. Well, it's not your money, ladies and gentlemen of the town. The state's going to be paying half. Half's your money. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to take advantage of here.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do for everything we do.
Yeah. That's a great point, Mickey. and I hope you'll make it. Then as we look down, we see that the next bond would be a 10-year bond, the $500,000 one. That could start in begin its impact in fiscal year 23, when it's actually put into effect, when the borrowing is put into effect. And we see that that projects over a 10-year period. And then the last one is the existing library bond, which was actually, the bonds were taken last year for a cost of $17,917. And it begins its first year of real impact in fiscal year 22 at $55,200, and then continues out over a 10-year period. What's significant then is to look at the available funds remaining, the very last line. And we see, for instance, that in fiscal year 23, we take a significant dip with $100,000 of, funds available to us, out of which has to come the housing reserve if we don't have an article from housing. And then it begins to sort of over time climb up a little bit. It moves.
Before you go on, Lynn, roughly what is that housing commitment that we have to make?
It's 10% of the estimated revenues. Yeah, so it's roughly around $32,000, $33,000 a year. So,
but yeah, but if folks probe that issue, housing hasn't had any requests that qualify for CPC in a decade. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Last year.
The stair lift.
Yeah, no, housing had various applications, but until last year with fiscal year 21, we hadn't seen significant applications. So there was a significant reserve, Mickey, which is funding those two articles, which are almost $200,000. And yet there still is, about a $30,000 housing reserve, and, we'll add to it. So it will climb up again. But housing is...
I guess my point is housing hasn't been using a lot.
Yeah.
So if somebody says, well, we don't want to do this, we want more for housing. Wait a minute, housing hasn't even had applications for a while.
Yeah.
Last year and now this year is different because of the sort of community outrage at the state of affairs with the exterior building envelopes. Okay.
Yeah, no, and I think you've also got, a renewed vigor on the Housing Authority with your leadership and your administrative director's leadership.
Yeah, there's a lot of money that went into that spindrift over the past. With this money, if the town meeting approves it, it's a lot of. It's been long neglected and finally coming around.
Yep. Yeah, there's been a little bit penny wise and pound foolish, quite honestly. That's the story of deferred maintenance.
Right.
So you will see that we do enter a period of, it gets lean next year, and then it sort of climbs up gradually as the library bonds gets paid down. And then by fiscal year 32 and 33, we climb back up into the, 270, 300, basically a significant amount of money. At the same time, this table, which was prepared by our bond counsel, makes a projection as to the increase in the surtax over a period of time. And again, keeps it at a 50% state reimbursement level, which is a bit low. We've seen higher. So that's a very interesting table. Can I hear comments from people about it?
It's a very interesting table.
Yeah, okay.
No, it's very helpful to explain to folks.
It is. It's very helpful.
Buying over the next 10 years. Assuming they approve these, you're buying a beautiful, East Point issue. You get your preservation of your library and, of course, the town hall and whatnot.
Right. And so one thing we have to bear in mind is that the town meeting will be outdoors. It will not have the AV, or it won't have the audio, the visual components available to us. So I'm not quite sure how if we feel we want to make this explanation, that will be a challenge. But I think what we should say is that we're aware. We are aware that we will be constraining CPC funding. At the same time, we will have with these bonds, plus the numerous recreation articles that we are looking at, we will have made a significant investment in open space recreation and historic preservation and housing, quite honestly.
Yeah, right.
Lynn, this is Tony. Will this be in the book?
I will leave it to discussion of the group. That is an option.
Oh, I think it's a great idea.
Why not?
If you in case we're not able to figure out the AV and get it up on the screen, at least if it's in the book, you can refer to it.
That's a very good idea. Let's assume everyone brings their book, but they will have to have their book to follow the town meeting. So this Tony came to me today from Allison. I asked her for it on Friday, and she really worked very quickly with bond counsel and so on to make this work. So it's really appreciated.
She's extremely quick. She's very fast at responding and putting stuff together.
She is. She's great. All right. Well, shall we go back to the articles, folks? So I would ask you, Paul, you had some suggestions for strengthening the supporting statement here. I would love it if you could send some edits over to me.
Yep. Did we get these articles in this form?
Yes, this was sent on Thursday, but then I updated it today.
And you sent it today?
Yep.
Okay, great.
So use today's version.
I'll look at it tomorrow morning and send it right back to you.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you, Ellen. If we can just keep going down here. Okay. What has happened here?
What do you mean?
No, could you just go back up? I thought I had changed this. Oh, hold on. Okay, yes, I have changed this. So it's just the track changes. So
yeah,
folks,
I turned track changes on so we could see it. So you.
Oh, great! Thank you. That was my confusion.
Yeah, I'm showing the markup.
So what I did here is I had Allison's bond schedule. So I have included the actual numbers. So the first year was $17,917. And then I can see I made a mistake. This should actually read 55,200. I wrote 58 too. So Ellen, if you can change that, that will change the $76,000. I guess that will put that down by $3,000.
So it's 58 or 55.2.
55.2 plus
17,917.
917.
73,117.
Good, thank you.
Got an extra digit in there, Ellen. 736.
Nope, that's strikeout.
Got it.
You're smarter than the average bear. That one.
How would one know?
She's good. Oh, she's really good. So yeah, and then I had deleted G because it gets combined here.
Okay, so it's not showing up as deleted here. It's just
Yeah.
So we're ready to delete it?
Yes.
Okay. So then this becomes G.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was we just run through the fiscal year 22 appropriate recommendations that we have just, you know, had worked on together. And then this is last year's group. So the only changes here is that the East Point Historic District article has been withdrawn. So I just pulled that out of here. But otherwise, just to run through this, and these were presented in the order they were received. The first one is for interior refurbishment at the Ellingwood Chapel. The second one is the Dory Club floating dock project. And by the way, when these get presented, you know, we're going to have to go through a script with FinCom, but I'm nominating Austin Antrim to do this one because he actually understands the pieces and parts to this. But this has a significant match from the Dory Club. It's got $66,000 in match, and they've already done some of this work. So it's this would be the final piece of this.
So Lynn, the amount on that one should change. I don't know if you want to change it from what we wrote last year, but the revised amount is 13,000, I believe, not 17,000.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay. Are you going to change all my numbers? Oh,
I did send in an email. I don't know if
I know you probably did. So that's good. Just puts more money into the general reserve. We should be happy. Okay. And should any of this other text get altered?
Yes.
Would you mind doing that? Because
sure, yeah, I'll do that.
You spoke about it so well the other night, but this can say, look, the Dory Club has already done some of this work. So that would be great. Next are the two housing articles, which I don't think there's any change on that. $45,000 for the Spring Road and Emerald Road houses, and then $155,000 for the Greystone Road house or complex. It's really a complex of buildings. Keep running through. $41,000 for Bailey's Hill, beginning to do the East Slope restoration. $27,000 for the second of the two lowland softball fields. And then there's that $165,000, Paul, that you were asking about for ADA work at Town Hall. And then there's $24,000 for the little Nahant playground, which will really complete as far as I believe, will complete the refurbishment of all the playgrounds in Nahant. And then there's $12,000 down here for the Spring Road basketball court. Then we get to the big borrowing article, which is the $1.5 million. And yeah. We do have, this will be a major source of discussion. You can count on that. I don't know, I do not have control as to the ordering of the articles. That'll be something that the Board of Selectmen will be working on. But this could well be changed in terms of the order of presentation. running down through that. That's a long one. Then we get to a whole bunch of these little things, which are, I changed the lettering. But these are the clawbacks. I have not gone in to see about any further clawbacks because I'm running out of time and energy on this, but there may be more. One of the things that did come up in the FinCom meeting was a lot of interest from one member about the rights of way enforcement. And I was simply able to say, I know that there's unexpended rights of way appropriations that are available for the purposes of implementation by the planning board, which is the group that had been the applicant. So I think that is really it in terms of, I mean, I guess we could have an XYZ, but we don't have any XYZ. We get to V and then that's enough. So committee, with some editing from Paul Spurn on the aggregate bond and Austin Antrim on the Doric Club float supporting statement, I think that we are at a point where we could entertain a motion.
I move that we accept these articles as our formal presentation and recommendations to the town meeting via the warrant booklet.
Mickey Long, second.
Right. Well then, let us go through a roll call vote. Starting with Ellen Goldberg.
Aye.
Ellen Steves.
Aye.
Austin Antrim.
Aye.
Paul Spurn. Paul Spurn.
Yes.
Okay. Mickey Long.
Aye.
Mariana.
Aye.
Nancy.
Aye.
Lynn. Aye. Well, thank you, group. There we go.
Thank you, Lynn, for all your hard work and everybody else who worked doing the language. I acknowledge my not having to do much.
Except get up at critical points in the town meeting, Mickey. Carry the day.
Right, we're waiting for you on that, Mickey.
Yeah.
Lynn, this was a tour de force. And those of us who went to the FinCom meeting last week were so impressed with how wonderfully you presented the work that you've led us through this season. And it's been a real pleasure. And we are all indebted to you for all of that wonderful hard work. We know this is, these are things that are close at mind for you all the time. And we know it. We know it, and we're grateful for it. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
You know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to tell you, you're the ones that make it possible. I mean, I feel like, yeah, I get up and sort of fumble around and do what I have to do, but this is a wonderful group to work with, and I thank each of you. I also don't want to sort of leave you without some good news, because even though we just looked at a table that said, you know, we're going to be kind of really perhaps not having an awful lot of money to spend freely next year, I do project, and this is on the table that I sent you, which is the summary of our grants. I am projecting a general reserve of $165,000, which will be good. And then housing, Mickey, climbs up to $73,000.
Right.
So So it's not as if we won't have monies to allocate. It's just going to be a somewhat, a little bit, instead of allocating $600,000 or $700,000, which is what we're doing in this round, we're actually allocating $761,000 over against a budget capability of $976,000. We'll have a little bit less, but we'll still have monies to work with. So.
Very good.
So in terms of the things I wanted to cover for tonight, that's it. Other folks?
Do we have another meeting needed or scheduled?
I don't think so, Ellen. I think at this point, I want to sort of send these. I actually had copied Bob Vanderslice and John Fulgram, who are the co-chairs of FinCom. And other members of FinCom join us for these meetings. So now there's been a distribution of the materials I sent you earlier today. But we could tighten up these articles and then get them to Town Hall for inclusion in the town warrant. So I don't think, subject to the paragraph that I'm going to get from Paul and the editing that I'll be getting from Austin, I don't think there's really another reason to meet immediately.
Well, I was just asking. I did just send you the document. I sent to Austin, Paul, and Lynn the document that I was just editing. I sent you all the most current version.
Perfect. Thank you.
And then send them directly to Lynn.
Right.
Okay. Will do.
Thank you.
So we may want to actually have, once FinCom sort of returns to us with what they are supporting or not, and they don't always support our articles, we will then have, there's usually a kind of a scripting session where you decide who is actually speaking at the town meeting. So our committee will want to meet, prior to town meeting to go through various roles, because I'd like to share the joys of presenting these articles with all of you.
Since there'll be no votes taken at that meeting, does that have to be subject to a public meeting notice?
It would.
Yeah, it would. Every time we meet,
Really? Okay.
We have to be.
All right.
We do have guests who are in. I've just checked the chat and I don't see any chat comments. But
move to adjourn.
Second.
Can we all wave our hands?
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks again, everybody. Good job,
Yes,
Lynn.
wonderful.
Thank you very
Good night,
much.
everybody.
Good night. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.